Alright, so here is your new Retroid Pocket 4. Power button on top here, next to the volume. You've got your SD card. I don't need to show you all that, you'll figure that out. When you first turn it on, it'll probably take you here, the widget screen, but you just hit library and you've got all your consoles. You can use the triggers or you can swipe. I've set this up. It takes forever to do, so I went ahead and did that for you because it literally took like 5 hours to get it set up. They sell it plain. You have to install all the emulators and then a front end to manage them. And now, when you turn on the device, it looks like this, which is way easier to use. Although it's still got Android on it, you can click here and go to your apps and see all your installed apps. Go to your file manager. In here you've got the disk. And you've got a folder called ROMs, and in the ROMs you've got folders for all your different systems. Some of these I don't have games in here for you yet, but I went ahead and installed all the stuff for it. Other than you'll have to figure out if you want to do Nintendo Switch or Vita. It is possible. I installed the emulators. You just have to get the keys and install it, so you can Google that if you want. But it's like Android. You've got the home button here and you can click library. And yeah, but I've got lots of PSP games in here already for you. And so B is back and A is accept or forward is the way I try to remember it. I got 18 PS1 games, but you can add whatever you want. I'll send you the link. Or actually, I saved it in here for you. So if you just go to Chrome, and then, I don't know what this is, got it. And then wherever you find I'm just gonna click something. Wherever your bookmarks are, where are the bookmarks? Bookmarks. You have to click mobile, bookmarks, and download mobile games here. I put this here for you, so you can come in here and you can click all your different systems if you want, Nintendo. You can actually download directly on here and just save it in that correct folder that I showed you in the file manager for the system. And then once you get back to this screen, there's a tiny, I don't know if you can see it, this little refresh button up here. You'll click that and it'll bring up synchronization. If you click sync, it'll scrape all of your games and artwork. So anything you've added, once it's done scraping, it'll be inside the library for that console. So there's an easy way to do that. It's also got like 120 gigs onboard storage. I'm not really using that for anything, but if you wanted to, like when you do, like if you set up the Switch or the Vita emulation, you could create another ROMs folder on the onboard storage, and you could take up some of that space because your card that I put in here is already pretty much full. But if you wanted to do that, for Switch here, you'd have to go to Paths and then add more. And then here's where you could select the folder that you want it to pull the games from. And you could put that folder, on the actual thing. Create a new folder here, call it ROMs or whatever. So that's the basic of how to add games to this thing and use it. Now that it's set up, it's pretty easy to do. You got your settings and all that. Your home key down here, if you double click it, it'll always take you back here, where you can add widgets here if you want and set it up like an Android device. But most of the time you're just going to come here and click your system. Let's just play a game to show you something. Let's just go PS2 and I don't know, up your arsenal, just because I played a little bit of this on here. We should be able to load in pretty quick. When you first, click a game, it might take a second to load in. And it's working, you got your dealy bob. And it's asking me if I want to load, but I can just hit back here. Sometimes it's the back key, sometimes it's the select key, depending on what emulator you're using. But if you hit back, it brings up this menu. You can hit load state, and I can load right to where I was playing before. And let's say I want to you can hit pause and you can hit save state. And you can just save right there. It's also important though to go ahead and use the in-game saving that's available, because sometimes when they update the apps, the old save states go away. So you'll want to use your in-game saves. Oh, I died. So let's say I'm done playing. You can hit exit game. And there we go. We can go back and play something different. So that was PlayStation 2. We could go deeper into depth here, but just as a quick explanation, if we go to apps, when we go to the game apps that I installed for you, you've got Citra, Dolphin, M64 PSP, and then RetroArch, Vita, Yuzu does Switch. They're all different apps that this front end called daijisho, which if we go back to daijisho is on here somewhere, right there. That's what this interface we're using is. And we set it as our home screen thing, so it just comes back to it when we use home. But it organizes all those for us. If you ever need to, if you have a problem with a game, you may have to come over here to apps, select the correct emulator for the game that you're running, and then go into the settings. Like we were just playing PS2, which is actually I have set up through RetroArch, but RetroArch is the most confusing to set up, so I'm not going to mess with that because I've got it all set up right. But let's say GameCube, I'd hit Dolphin, and you can come in here and set up your, change your settings for the game. The only thing you're really going to want to do is come in, hit graphics settings, and right here for video backend and graphics settings, on all the apps they're going to have this. Sometimes you're going to want to switch from OpenGL to Vulkan if the game's not running right, or vice versa. Just try that is going to be the main thing that you'll want to try if a game doesn't seem to want to load. OpenGL tends to be better, but sometimes slower, so you'll switch to Vulkan sometimes on games, but like on Mario Kart, for example, Vulkan doesn't work. So, exit emulation. Let's just go home. That'll bring us back here where we can hit library. And then I guess we'll boot a game on something that runs RetroArch, like Nintendo Entertainment. We could go into the library, and I put the entire Nintendo library on here for you for classic Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and N64, just because they're getting weird about some of this stuff. I'm pretty sure it's the whole library. I think it is. But N64 uses M64, so I won't use that, but I will use Game Boy Advance, for example. You've got the entire Game Boy Advance library. It's still trying to scrape some of the artwork for you. But you can hit random if you just want a random game. You can add it to favorites if you like it. You can go through and delete all this shit too if you want, but all the classic games literally fit within just a couple gigs. It's the newer games that you have to be more mindful of. This one doesn't seem to be loading appropriately. I'm not sure why. If that ever happens, you can just go home. Now I'm just curious if I gotta fix this for you. Does Game Boy Advance work? Was it just that game? Oh, I don't know if I've tried Game Boy Advance. This would be a good little thing to do then. Let's just do it on camera. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna click on paths. Not paths, I'm gonna hit edit. And I'm gonna make sure that right here, GBA, Game RetroArch, 64, right here, the default player is where you might want to change something, because there's a bunch of different players that you can use and it's very confusing, so you might have to look it up. But I'm trying to get everything working before we send it to you. So I'll go through and I'll figure out why that's not working and fix that. I've gone through for all the other ones and selected the correct thing. I guess I didn't do that one, but I'm pretty sure I did this one random. Cobra Command. There you go. And this is a RetroArch game, so the back key isn't going to bring up that menu. You're going to have to hit select. It brings up this more annoying menu, but you can, through this, you can still do the saves. You can hit close content and then scroll down and hit quit. Or you could just hit the home key twice and it'll bring you back. That's the gist of how to do it. And you can actually add more consoles than this, or you can upgrade your SD card if you want. It's got the mini HDMI, but she was gonna get you that dock, so you should just be able to plug it in with that using the USB-C port. But yeah, sweet, have fun. Wii is a little bit, I do have some games on here for you, but I haven't gone through and set up the controls perfectly, I don't think. See, I think I got Wii working. Actually, I hadn't tried Wii on here. Anyway, I'll make sure Wii's working. But you have to go through and do some more control stuff is what I was saying. You can like bring up the menu here and you can go through to settings. And then, you know, GameCube or Wii input. And it won't let me do it while it's running. So you may have to go home, go to settings or apps. And then Dolphin's the one for GameCube, and here's where you could do that GameCube input and change stuff. The game was still running though, so I have to exit to do that. All right, well, if you ever have trouble, let me know. There's lots of information online, but I'm trying to get all the hard work done for you so you can just play with it and then just add the games like I showed you to do there. All right, have fun. Alright, yeah, so I did get that working, and how I got Game Boy Advance working, I did that by hitting a little pencil. You go down and you can change the default player, and I just guessed, because I feel like I remembered MGBA being the one that I used in my other one, but you can like Google it and stuff. I used Retroid 64 because that's what we're using. And once I changed that, now Game Boy Advance seems to work. So there you go. Have fun. Alright, another fun example that just came up. So I got Wii working. Actually, just one of the games wasn't working, so I don't know. I just deleted that one. You can add more Wii games, but save them to your internal memory or upgrade to a really large SD card. Anyway, focus on, what did I play? Smash Brothers Brawl. It's a really fun game, by the way. I'll show you in a second where the favorites thing is. Anyway, Jessica's about to walk in. I hear her. Let's see, load state. Quick load? Maybe not. I thought I saved a state to make this faster. Alright, another quick thing here on Smash Brothers Brawl. I got Wii working for you. Let's see, something I noticed. Oops, that always gets me. Like B, you can remap them too if you want, but that's back. Gotta look at what I'm doing, hold on. I wanted to go to solo, just start a match. I'm just gonna pick anyone. Alright, so playing Smash Brothers Brawl here on Wii, I noticed that we're having this weird graphical issue. So, what you're going to want to do if you come across something like that, is go ahead and just exit emulation. And it'll take you back here. It actually took us right back to the Dolphin emulator page where you can hit settings, and then graphics settings, and then for the video backend, go ahead and switch that from Vulkan to OpenGL, or vice versa. So I switched this to OpenGL, and now we can go into Smash Brothers again, and now it's gonna compile the shaders ahead of time. That was what it was saying up there. Anyway, switching from that to the other one should make it work. This is gonna, I guess I'll just cut this part of the video out. Okay. So now we're running on OpenGL instead of Vulkan. Hey, look, it works. So some games will run better on others. You might have to switch back and forth sometimes, but usually you can just leave it on one for each system. Maybe Wii works best with OpenGL, so you just leave it on there. Unless you notice the game's running slowly, and then you can try Vulkan. Anyway, fun game. Also, you can exit emulation here, or you could just hit home twice, and it'll take you home. But when you do that, you want to make sure that you can drag the bar up here and hit the square, that your apps don't start stacking up. See, you've got Dolphin open right there for the GameCube we were just doing, or no, the Wii. But if we were to like go and like open, you know, Nintendo, which runs on RetroArch, and then PlayStation, which runs on Aether, and then PlayStation Portal, which runs on PSPS, whatever it is, then when you would come here, you'd see, you know, all those apps. So you might want to close them out. And last thing, the favorites. If you add favorites, there'll be an option right here for favorites right next to recent. I might go through and add some favorites of some games that I feel like you should check out.